Good afternoon. My name is Dan Scripps, Chair of the Michigan Public Service Commission, and I call this meeting of the Commission to order on April 14th, 2022 at 1 p.m. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Chair Scripps.
Present.
Commissioner Phillips.
Present.
Commissioner Peretick. Present. Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Today's meeting is being held in person at the Commission's office at 7109 West Saginaw Highway in Lansing. We're also hosting this meeting remotely using Microsoft Live Event. It is compatible with all browsers except Safari. Telephone relay service is available through the phone option. If you are participating via the live stream, you may also turn on the live captions by clicking on the closed caption or CC button in the lower right corner of the screen. As indicated in the notice for today's meeting, if we lose the remote connection, the Commission will not recess. The meeting will be recorded and available for future reference on the Commission's website. In addition, the Commissioners can receive comment via mpsc_commissioners@michigan.gov. For reference, this email is also included in the Q&A feature on the live stream event on your computer and in the meeting notice. We will have an opportunity for the public to make comment as provided for in the agenda. A few notes about this. Comments should be limited to one per person and can be made verbally in person or by calling in or in writing via the live stream Q&A feature. If you are participating via Teams application, you can use the Q&A feature and type your comments in the box anytime during our meeting, and we will have those queued up to read. The Q&A function should be used to submit public comments directed to the Commission. If you would like to make verbal comments, you must do so either in person or by calling into the meeting by phone, and to minimize disruptions, attendees participating by phone will be muted until we reach the time for public comment. The first order of business is approval of the agenda for today's meeting.
Thank you, Chair. We do have one amendment. I move to amend the proposed agenda for today's Commission meeting by removing item 4-A-1, case number U-20833.
I second the motion to amend the proposed agenda.
Is there any discussion? We'll now have a vote on the motion to amend the proposed agenda. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The motion to amend the proposed agenda is approved. Commissioner Phillips?
I move for the approval of the amended agenda for today's Commission meeting.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve today's amended agenda. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion is carried by a unanimous vote. The agenda as amended is approved. The next item of business on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the March 17, 2022 Commission meeting.
I move for the approval of the minutes from the March 17th, 2022 Commission meeting.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We'll now have a vote on the motion to approve the minutes from the March 17, 2022 Commission meeting. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The Commission meeting minutes of March 17, 2022 are approved. The next item of business on the agenda is the approval of orders and minute actions on the consent agenda. And today, the Commission is assisted by Staff Attorney Barb Kunkel. Recognize Ms. Kunkel.
Good afternoon. Today's consent agenda consists of 4 communications matters, 7 electric matters, and 3 gas matters. The proposed orders and minute actions for these matters have been thoroughly vetted by the Commission's technical and legal staff and are ready for your.
I move for the approval of the orders and minute actions on the consent agenda.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the orders and minute actions on the consent agenda. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The orders and minute actions on the consent agenda are approved. I recognize Ms. Kunkel.
Item 4A2 is case number U-21089, which involves an application filed by DTE Electric Company seeking an administrative determination regarding the proper classification of a 120 kilovolt single circuit radial line and assisted equipment, referring to the Croswell interconnection. The order before you finds that the Croswell interconnection is classified for purposes of this case as a distribution access.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21089.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21089 is approved. I recognize Ms. Kunkel.
Item 4A3 is case number U-21116, which involves an action for Consumers Energy Company to show cause why it should not be found in violation of MCL 460.10EE sub 2, Commission orders, and Michigan Administrative Code 460.10105 The order before you approves the settlement agreement resolving all issues in the case.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21116.
I second the motion.
Before we vote on this item, just a few comments. So this started with an issue where Consumers Energy in May of 2019 self-reported some non-compliance issues with certain provisions of the Code of Conduct. We then initiated a formal proceeding in September of 2021, and the settlement agreement approved today resolves the issues raised in that investigation and proceeding, and I think represents sort of what settlement agreements can do in terms of moving the ball forward, both addressing some of the non-compliance issues and developing a plan for tighter controls and taking steps to obtain informed consent from customers before sharing certain data with consumers' affiliates, among other provisions, but also including some pieces that will not only better protect customer information, but improve the customer data sharing experience. And specifically, as part of the settlement agreement in front of us today, consumers will make Green Button Download My Data and Connect My Data available to all their customers, both residential and business customers, this year, as well as working to obtain certification for those offerings. The Green Button Initiative is an industry-led effort to provide utility customers with easy and secure access to their energy usage information in a consumer-friendly and computer-friendly format. And I think this represents a significant step forward, taking what was an issue and non-compliance and really developing and delivering something of real benefit to customers. So I appreciate the work of our staff, of the company, and of all involved in getting us to where we are today. Any additional comments on this issue? All right, with that, we will have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21116 is approved. I recognize Ms. Kunkel.
Item 4A4 is case number U-21137, which involves an amended application filed by Upper Peninsula Power Company requesting ex parte authority to amend its commercial generation service tariff to provide expanded use of electric vehicle charging stations and related approvals. Staff member Al Freeman will describe this order.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I am Al Freeman, Assistant to the Division Director in the Michigan Public Service Commission's Energy Resources Division. Last year, the Michigan Public Service Commission approved Axiom UP Holdings LLC acquisition of Upper Peninsula Power Company, or UPCO. As part of that settlement, the company agreed to create an EV charging pilot program. On September 15, 2021, UPCO filed an ex parte approval for authority to amend its commercial general service tariff to provide expanded use of EV charging stations and related approvals. The Michigan Public Service Commission staff reviewed the application, asked questions, and had conversations with UPCO, which led to the company filing an amended application with tariff language on December 9, 2021. The order before the Commission today authorizes the company to create a regulatory asset up to $750,000 and record entries into the regulatory asset account for up to 3 years from the date of this order. The order today does not approve the inclusion of these expenditures in customer rates, and the company will have to demonstrate the reasonableness and the prudence of these expenditures as part of future rate cases. Further, the order recognizes the company's commitment to include in its next rate case both an analysis of the costs and benefits of this electrical vehicle pilot program to ratepayers in the evaluation of new EV charging specific tariff offerings that would be intended to facilitate effective and beneficial EV charging integration for other customer classes. Additionally, UPCO will provide an annual report in this docket throughout the program's duration that will provide details on the charger installation, a map of their locations, as well as project utilization data by month and/or season. UPCO identified multiple policy justifications for its request, including helping to alleviate range anxiety and further encourage tourists with EVs to visit the Upper Peninsula and stimulate the local economy. The proposal is consistent with past Commission EV pilot orders. The application approval allows for continued build-out of transportation electrification infrastructure and additional study of the potential impacts on UPCO's electrical grid. Lastly, this program is consistent with the spirit of both Governor Whitmer's My Healthy Climate Plan and Executive Directive 2021-13 on making Michigan an EV powerhouse. The order before you today in docket U1137 approves Upper Peninsula Power Company's amended application for an electric vehicle charging station pilot program. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman, for that presentation. I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21137.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion?
I do have a couple of comments to make, Chair. I first would like to thank our staff from throughout the MPSC organization for your continued due diligence of this and other utility financial and programmatic proposals to support and serve the growing volume of electric vehicles in Michigan. Today's order marks the first such proposal for an electric utility with service territory in the Upper Peninsula. Though this order only approves the creation of a regulatory asset and demand charge waiver and does not approve the inclusion of expenditures in customer rates, approval will allow for UPCO and by extension, Upper Peninsula residents, businesses, and visitors to immediately access and benefit from the millions in public funds allocated to support EV adoption and deployment. This includes the $110 million over 5 years of EV infrastructure investment Michigan is expected to receive from the Federal Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. The approval of UPCO's application and continued operation of Consumers, DTE, and I&M's EV pilots will also mean that the vast majority of communities throughout the state of Michigan will have access to some form of electric vehicle infrastructure rebate offered by their electric utility. We still, however, realize that given the very limited EV infrastructure, EV charging infrastructure present in the Upper Peninsula today, and the expected growth of EV availability and adoption over the next several years, that this application is only scratching the surface of what needs to be done. In response to that reality, this order also will require that the company file in its next rate case both an analysis of the costs and benefits of electric vehicle pilot programs for customers in UPCO's service territory, as well as an evaluation of EV charging tariff offerings that can be utilized by customer classes beyond just commercial customers. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Phillips. Commissioner Perdick?
Thanks. Yeah, I'd also like to just briefly highlight the work that is being done across the state for the acceleration of electric vehicle charging infrastructure and call attention to the work that's being done across state government to support these efforts. This regulatory asset that was described by Mr. Freeman and Commissioner Phillips in UPCO's pilot would contribute 1/3 of the funding for the charger, with another third of the funding coming from Michigan's Department of Energy, Great Lakes and Environment's EV Charger Grant Program, and the final third contributed by the customer. Deploying electric vehicle charging infrastructure in a fair and equitable way throughout both Michigan peninsulas needs to be an important focus. And earlier this year, we had the opportunity to see an EV fast charger in action in the Upper Peninsula in the downtown of Norway, Michigan, and I'm looking forward to seeing many more deployed throughout the UP in the future.
Thank you, Commissioner Perdick. We'll now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21137 is approved. I recognize Ms. Kunkel.
Item 4B1 is case number U-21213, which involves an application filed by Consumers Energy Company for ex parte approval to construct and operate the proposed C994, C995, and C996 well lines, and a proposed extension and reroute of the existing lateral 67E in the Cranberry Storage Field in the townships of Winterfield and Summerfield in Clare County. The order before you approves the application and makes the required agency findings regarding the pipeline's environmental impact.
Thank you, Ms. Kunkel. I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21213.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We'll now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21213 is approved. We've now reached the time reserved for members of the public to address the Commission. As mentioned in the notice for today's meeting, we'll take public comments in the following order. First, individuals attending in person. Next, written comments from individuals using the Microsoft Teams live stream Q&A, then verbal comments from individuals submitting names in the Q&A feature who have called into the meeting, and finally, from individuals participating only through the phone option. If anyone attending in person desires to address the commission at this time, please come to the microphone. No takers. Now we will turn to public comments through the remote options. Again, if you would like to make a comment and have access to the Teams live stream Q&A feature on your computer, please enter your name and your comment, which will then be read aloud to the commissioners. This feature is available on the right-hand side of the control bar next to the mute button. As a reminder, the Q&A feature is intended for public comments directed to the commission and not to engage with other participants or respond to their comments. After taking any comments through this feature, we will open up the phone line for those who called into the meeting and would like to address the commission verbally. If you want to be queued up for verbal comments, please enter your name in the live stream Q&A feature and indicate that you wish to make a verbal comment, but please do not include your written comment, as this will avoid duplication. I will first call on these names in the order received, and after hearing from those individuals listed in the Q&A, we will ask if there are any comments from individuals who are on the phone line but not utilizing the online Q&A feature. Please note that you can only make verbal comments by calling into the meeting. When it is your turn to speak, press *6 on your phone to unmute. And as a reminder, this public comment period is for commissioners to listen to comments and concerns and not to answer specific questions. When providing comment, please indicate your name and where you live if you're willing to share, so we have that for our records, and please limit comments to one per person and keep them brief so that we have a chance to hear from all who would like to comment. Ms. Cole, I believe that you are again assisting us today, and so I will see if there are any comments that have been entered through the Teams live stream Q&A feature.
There are no written comments that have been entered in the Q&A feature, but we do have one request to speak from a Mr. Michael Murray.
Excellent. Mr. Murray, if you're on the phone, please press *6 to unmute, and we'd love to hear from you.
Good afternoon, Chair and Commissioners. Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Michael Murray. I am with a nonprofit organization called Mission Data Coalition, and we support the idea of customers being able to exchange their energy data that's held by utilities with energy efficiency and energy management companies to help them save on their bills. And I wanted to thank you for the approval earlier of the settlement agreement regarding consumers' energy. There's one additional item that I wanted to bring to your attention as Michigan and other states move towards the implementation of Green Button Connect My Data. And that is the importance of adhering to standards. There is some language in the settlement that consumers' energy will obtain Green Button certification for non-residential customers, but the language is a bit tentative when it comes to certification for residential customers. It says consumers' energy will work to obtain Green Button certification for those offerings in 2022. And I just wanted to point out that for the Commission's future consideration, there are a number of utilities across the country that have made somewhat misleading claims about whether they actually comply with the standard. And when they don't actually comply with the standard, it makes it a lot more difficult for customers to take advantage of their smart metering data and to access services that could save them a lot of money. And so I would just ask that the Commission keep an eye on this issue in the future, and that if any utility is unable to achieve certification, this is something that I think the Commission should take further action on. I would note that I don't think the Commission would tolerate non-compliance with standards, especially national standards, in other areas of their businesses, and I don't think that this one should be an exception. So I'll leave my comments there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. Ms. Cole, are there others who have entered in the Q&A in interest in providing verbal comment?
None at this time.
Okay. We'll now go to those who may be joining us only by the phone option. And if you are interested in providing public comment at this time, please press *6 on your phone to unmute, and we'll take you in the order that we hear you. Again, star 6 to unmute if you are trying to talk. We are not hearing you. Try one more time. If you are interested in providing public comment through the phone feature at this point, you can do so now, and would encourage you to press star 6 to unmute. Okay, we'll close the public comment period then at this point. A few announcements before we wrap up. April seems to be a month where we get to celebrate a lot. I think it's part of the turning to spring. But it is both Scottish American History Month, or Heritage Month, and National Arab American History Month. I have a close tie to Scotland. I'm not actually Scottish in any way, but I did marry somebody of Scottish descent. My wife Jamie is a hunter. But I grew up in Alma, which is known as Scotland, USA, and attended Alma College, where I was part of the Kilty Marching Band, and even had the opportunity to spend a couple of years in Scotland between college and law school, including helping on an election to the first Scottish Parliament since 1707. So excited to celebrate Scottish American Heritage Month here in Michigan. And also excited for the many contributions that we celebrate connected to National Arab American History Month, really part of the cultural fabric of our state. And in 2019, Michigan Representatives Debbie Dingell and Rashida Tlaib issued a congressional resolution for National Arab American History Month to be recognized nationwide. The U.S. is home to over 3.5 million Arab Americans, and the greater Detroit area, of course, is home to one of the largest, oldest, and most diverse Arab American communities in the United States, with Arab Americans first immigrating to Detroit in the late 1880s of Syrian and Lebanese descent. We are also celebrating, or recently celebrated on March 31st, International Transgender Day of Visibility, which is an annual celebration that takes place each year on March 31st. The day was founded in 2009 by Rachel Crandall, a transgender activist and Michigan native. She founded the day to celebrate and recognize the accomplishments and resilience of transgender, non-binary, and other gender non-conforming individuals, while raising awareness to the burden of discrimination the transgender community still faces in society. And then finally, April is Safe Digging Month. So we, together with Governor Whitmer and the Miss Dig organization, issued a press release just yesterday. As the weather warms up and the sun comes out, I think a lot of people start thinking about the projects they want to do in their yards. But of the 60% of American householders who are planning a home improvement project involving digging in the next 12 months, a recent study found that nearly half of them won't call 811 ahead of time. This is important to do. It's also the law, and the call to Miss Dig 811 is free and ensures buried gas, electric, water, and sewer, phone, and other underground utilities are clearly marked before digging projects begin, and this can help avoid damage to those facilities, but also dangerous and potentially deadly consequences. And even that's true for relatively small excavation projects. So please call 811 or go to missdig811.org at least 3 days before a project starts, so that utilities can come out and mark their underground facilities, and that we can keep all of us safe in so doing. Are there any other announcements? I think you have one.
I just would like to note that on April 18th, so this coming Monday, from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m., the MPSC will be hosting an Energy Assistance Fair in Gaylord, Michigan at the United Way. The event will provide customers an opportunity to work with local and state agencies on site to apply for home energy assistance. Participants may also provide input during a listening session that's part of the MPSC's Energy Affordability and Accessibility Collaborative at the same event. MPSC staff is seeking comments and concerns related to energy affordability and would love to hear from the public. The Energy Affordability and Accessibility Collaborative was launched in early 2021 in response to the COVID-19 pandemic to seek broad and diverse input from residents, nonprofits, utilities, and state agencies to address the affordability of energy, access to low-income energy assistance, customer protections, and low-income energy waste reduction services. More information about the Energy Assistance Fair is available at the event's webpage. which you can find through the MPSC's webpage. And there's also additional information on the Energy Affordability and Accessibility Collaborative webpage as well.
Very good. Any final announcements?
No additional comments, Chair.
Okay. That concludes today's meeting. The next regular commission meeting is scheduled for Monday, April 25th, 2022 at 1:30 p.m. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn today's commission meeting.
I second the motion.
We'll now have a vote on the motion to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.